Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Lafferty. Hey, St. Barnabas 5th grade. Mrs. Snyder's letting me help out because I'm a little lonely here at home. So we're going to do lesson 87, Finding Unknown Factors. We're going to do it the way that's in the book plus a slightly different way. So let's review a little bit. I always like to review. Our first problem is going to be 5n equals 21. And remember, n can stand for anything. So we're going to find out what n equals. 5 times something is 21. So we're going to figure out how to solve that. So we're going to use my very favorite problem in the world to solve that. 3 times 2 is 6. I use that for everything almost, and my 6th graders will tell you that same thing. But we're going to replace 2 with n. So 3n equals 6. Guess what n is? 2. We know that, don't we? But how do we know that? So how did we get there? What can I do to 3 to get 6? I'm going to get better at moving this paper, huh? So let's figure that out. Maybe I'll just point. We want to isolate the variable. In other words, we want to get n by itself on one side with an equal sign and something else on the other side. N equals something. It has to be by itself with nothing attached to it. So let's do our problem. 3n equals 6. It's not the one in the book. It's my favorite problem. So I know I get 2. And what happens? So 6 divided by 3 is 2. What happens if I say 3 divided by 3? I get 1. And guess what? N is the same thing as 1n. So I can write it either way. I can just write a plain old n, and the 1 is invisible, or I can write 1n. Convention says you write it this way, but if you want to put a 1 in there to help yourself out, you certainly can. So n by itself is the same thing as 1n. So if you see an n, you know you just have one of them. Okay, so get that in your mind. You also know that a fraction bar is the same thing as a division bar, right? So 6/3 is the same thing as 6 divided by 3. And you already knew that. But just to refresh your memory. So 6 divided by 3 or 6 divided by 3. Okay, now I'm going to sing the Jeopardy song for a minute. Let that get in your head. Do, 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 do. Okay, enough. Okay, back to our problem. 3n equals 6. So I want to get rid of that 3, because remember that n has to be by itself. So if I do the same thing to both sides of the equation, it's fine. So I can say 2 equals 1 plus 1. Is that equal? Yes. What if I say 3 plus 2 is equal to 1 plus 1 plus 3? Is that the same thing? Still equals 5. So as long as I do the same thing to both sides of the equation, I'm fine. So this is connected to the n by multiplication, and I want to get rid of it. So I'm going to divide. I'm going to do the opposite operation. So I'm going to divide both sides of the equation. I can't just do one, or then it's no longer equal, by 3. So 3 divided by 3, so 3n divided by 3, equals, that's a terrible equal sign, 6 divided by 3. Okay, so I divided both sides by 3. And remember, that turns into a 1, right? So now I have 1n from this, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So I have 1n equals 2, or just plain n equals 2, and I have my answer. Cool, huh? So remember, whatever's connected to that n, if it's connected by multiplying, you're going to divide. Or if it's connected by dividing, you're going to multiply. You're going to do the opposite operation. I think in this case, we're just having things connected with multiplication. So that's easy. Okay, so let's look at example 1 in the book. 5n equals 21. So we're saying that 5 times something equals 21. Well, it's not going to be a whole number, is it? it's going to be a little bit bigger than 4 and a little bit less than 5. So some mixed number between 4 and 5. And I always like to get that in my mind first to make sure that I am on the right track. I don't know what it is yet. I can't do that in my head. I'm terrible at doing math in my head, but here you go. Okay, so I know I want to divide both sides by 5, right? So 5 divided by 5 turns into a 1, and that 1 isn't usually written. And 21 divided by 5, and then I can just do the math. Remember that when you have a fraction and you're turning it into a division problem, the top number always goes in the box. And I make my kids say that 1,000 times. We say it funny, we say it loud, we say it quiet, but the top number always goes in the box, even if it's small, which we'll get to later. Okay, so I've done my division. I got 4 1/5. So n equals 4 1/5. So you're saying that 5 times 4 1/5 equals 21. So that's that n that I can replace in my equation. That's kind of complicated. And if you want an easy, tricky way, you just always say the number over here that's not connected to the n is divided by the one that is connected to the n. So all of that aside, and you're going to need that later, you're really just going to have to say the whole number over here not connected. I guess it doesn't have to be a whole number, but the number over here not connected to the n divided by the one that is connected to the n. And that will work for all of these problems. So that's that. We'll answer questions if you need to. Hopefully it'll be easy. Read the book and there's more examples and that will help you.